What was my favorite place when I was on the tour? Probably New York, because we got to stay there. Usually you go into a city, you get there around noon or so, you start doing interviews, you do your show, and then you get on a bus and you leave again. You don't really get to see the city. But for us, in New York City, we had about 5 different concerts around the area, so we stayed in New York for over a week. We had a couple of days off there. My wife and I got to go on a date while my mom and her mom watched the babies, and we got to experience New York City. And always, if you actually get to experience the city like we've experienced Lake Havasu City, it always leaves an impression. It always kind of makes it stick out.
Was Simon ever mean to Phil?
Simon's mean to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're Chris Daughtry or Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood. He is mean to everybody. Nobody has gone through an entire season without being unscathed. But I think the worst compliment or the worst insult he ever hurled at me, he told me that he thought I was just a really, really good karaoke singer.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, so you think I'm really, really good?
Yes.
I actually don't think it's that American Idol is one of the best ways to get famous. I really don't. Because first of all, on the stage of American Idol, I'm about to sound like a bitter ex-contestant, and I'm really not. I actually am very grateful for the opportunity to be on American Idol. But think about the fact that you usually do not know the song that you're singing on American Idol. You don't have monitors, so you can't hear yourself, and you're in front of 30-some million people. It's really the worst possible. They say that it's such great exposure, but it's actually the worst possible exposure because you're at your weakest, no matter who you are. So you see Carrie Underwood on the show, and she was good on American Idol, whatever. But then you see her in her element, and she's phenomenal. You just melt watching her perform. Kelly Clarkson is the same way. She did all of her stuff on American Idol, and she was singing Respect, and we were like, ooh, she's really good. But then she came out with that album Breakaway back in 2004 or something like that, and all of a sudden we knew who the real Kelly Clarkson was. Chris Daughtry the same way. To be honest with you, I liked Chris Daughtry, but I wasn't a huge fan at the end of season 5 of Chris Daughtry. But when his record came out, I was like, this dude is bad to the bone. So also consider this. Now we're in the 10th season. So after this season, there will be 100 top 10 American Idol finalists. How many of those finalists do you remember their name? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So as much as it's great exposure or whatever, for the most part, if you get signed to anything afterwards, a lot of time it's people who are trying to take advantage of that momentum that you gained, the fan base that you've made, and that kind of thing. But if you work your way up by yourself, if you develop your own fan base, if you go out, sing wherever you can, record your own independent records and sell them or whatever, if you work your way up that way, you're going to get a whole lot more support, not just from your fan base, but from the record industry as well, the labels, the management, the agencies, that kind of thing. So that's actually a really tough question, because you see a lot of young artists wanting to come up through American Idol, and I for one think that it's actually probably easier for you to break into the industry outside of American Idol. Oh, it felt fantastic. She asked, how did it feel to get picked for American Idol? It felt great. I went and I auditioned in Memphis, Tennessee for my season. Can anybody guess how many people audition every year? Anybody want to throw a number out? 103,000 people auditioned for American Idol Season 6. 103,000 people. In Memphis, Tennessee alone, there were 16,000 people. When I got through, I was one of 15 people that had made it. One of 15 people that had made it from Memphis, Tennessee to Hollywood. So I felt incredible about that. I was very honored. I was very thrilled. But then when I went to Hollywood, and to keep getting through those different levels to where I actually left top 5 week, that was it was overwhelming, really. I went in not expecting anything out of American Idol, and all of a sudden it's giving me a career. It's giving me this great exposure and all this stuff. I was very happy. If I had not been accepted into American Idol, where would I be today? That's a great question. I don't know. The president of my label has said that had he heard me away from American Idol, he would have signed me anyway. So I like to believe that I'd be where I am. At the same time, it's tough to get to those people if you don't have a platform that they can see you on. And to be honest with you, you mentioned that I was in the Navy before. I loved my job in the Navy. My job in the Navy, I was the lead singer for the Navy rock band called Pride. And so I went around to different schools all over the country, different theaters, different arenas, and I did concerts. That was my job for the Navy. I loved it. I loved every second of it. So the truth is, I may still be in the Navy. How does it feel to perform in front of millions of people? Scary. Scary. That's it. It was scary. It was frightening. The question is, when I first entered the room, if I was nervous when I tried out for American Idol. And the truth is, no. I wasn't that nervous at all because I didn't expect it to go anywhere. You know, you're surrounded by a bunch of other people. I was there with one of my friends. We were just there having a good time. We went around. We showed up about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get to audition until about 9:30 at night. We had seen that so few people were getting through, so I didn't expect anything out of it. So I just went up and I sang. I wasn't nervous at all. Now, on the live performances, when I first stood on the stage and watched that little, like this camera right here, it has a little red light on it. When that little red light switched on American Idol, that represented 30-something million people. Yeah. I was frightened that time. I was nervous that time. What is my favorite song to perform? I have a song, actually it's a song that I sang backstage on American Idol before every performance called Hold Me Jesus. It's a prayer song, and I thought it was very appropriate for when I was so scared. So I would sing this song called Hold Me Jesus. I also love performing a song that I wrote, which is called Old Glory. It's a patriotic song, and I'm a patriot. I love the nation that we live in, and so I love performing this song. It always has a great response. It seems to connect with a lot of people, and so I really love performing that song as well.
And that is a great, that song is fabulous. You can go to YouTube, just type in Phil Stacey, Old Glory, and you can hear it. It's great. Great rendition. Terrific song.
Man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I mean that. Yes.
It's also available on iTunes. And no, I'm kidding.
There you go. Yes.
I did. Well, actually, what's funny is I was in Memphis with these people. And I actually became friends with some of the people that ended up becoming some of the joke auditions. And I had no idea. I had no idea until I sat down and literally watched. This was months later. I watched it on American Idol, and I saw their audition, and I was like, I believe that this person could sing. I really did. So in essence, what I'm saying to you is, they believed they could sing too. So you never know. You never know. In fact, when I auditioned, I was afraid. You go through several levels of auditions before you actually meet the judges. I was afraid when I went back to the judges that I was a joke audition, because you never know. Some of these people came out and they were like, they made fun of me. And they really thought they were great, so I was like, they're totally going to trash me. But I had fun with it anyway. What are my roots is the question. That's a great question. First of all, my dad is a pastor. So I grew up singing in church. I sang in children's programs. A lot of times we put on productions like this in church, whether it was for Easter or Christmas or whatever. And then when I got into high school, I actually got really involved in music theater. I was part of several productions, including No No Nanette, which most people have never heard of, Oklahoma, Bye Bye Birdie.
I know them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, several productions that I was a part of, that probably was what made me most comfortable on the stage, was actually what the kids here are doing starting this weekend. That really made me love the stage. Some of you guys in the midst of this performance will just fall in love with what you're doing, and you're just you're gonna do it the rest of your life, whether or not you're famous or whether you're doing local theater or whatever you're doing. It'll be inside of you. You'll have to do it for the rest of your life. I know that was my case. Whether I was on American Idol or not, I was going to be singing for the rest of my life. That's what I was going to do. So that change is going to happen in some of your life, I'm convinced.